The biggest lessons I've learned in my life are here. Through different topics, I'm going to inspire and motivate you to reach your success and your dreams. I'm so grateful that you're here on Journey to Success. So let's enjoy my next episode together. In this episode of the podcast, we are joined by David Price, a certified professional life coach and owner of his personal Facebook profile named David Price. I found this profile very interesting and especially helpful, so have a check, guys. Welcome, David. How are you?
Thank you, Fabio. I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. How are you doing today?
Of course. Good. I'm trying to do some diet here, but it's not that it doesn't work so much. So.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. No, truly. We ordered just a double burger, but without chips. So hopefully it's going to help this trick. I don't know. I hope so. And this. So and for the rest, I'm testing my new mic, the Q2U. So I used to record with the Blue Yeti.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I know that there was some noisy around me, maybe because there wasn't a good, a good environment in my room. So then I decided for something more cardio, something like this. But
yeah, good. I hope it works well.
All right. So, David, let's start then. So, you have helped hundreds of people achieve personal growth and transformation through the 4 pillars of personal success. But before we jump to the end, I would like to ask you some questions because I know it wasn't easy, right?
It wasn't easy with my own transformation or with my business?
With both. With your transformation especially. You wrote me something and I would like to go a bit deep actually about it since
Sure.
We're talking about, from failure to success and let's show to the people how much you felt before you reach this proper success from your
Sure.
side. Hmm?
Sure.
Right.
So my father died when I was 7, and he was 44, which obviously is very young. And so I am an only child, and my mother raised me. It was just myself and my mother. And because I lost my father, I was very confused. I used the death of my father as an excuse for all of my mistakes, for my inability to do anything well, to succeed at anything. I put forth very little effort, and I just was not happy. I was a miserable, frustrated person. I was eventually about 100 pounds overweight. And
Right.
I was very, very unhappy. And the reason was I was blaming the loss of my father for the terrible state of my life. And so that's kind of how I started out that direction. And then eventually I got to my lowest point in my life. I was so down and so much in despair that I reached out to a friend of mine who had this stuff better together than I did. And I said, can you help me? Can you share a book with me that will help? And he said, yes. And he gave me a book called The University of Success by Og Mandino. And by chapter 2, I was a different person. And that book transformed my life. And that led to a lot of other books and coaches, podcasts and seminars. And I just kept getting stronger, happier, more fulfilled, healthier. And that's sort of just the short version of my transformation story.
Gotcha. But for how many years you have been in this solitude before to take action, basically?
My father died when I was 7, and it was pretty much downhill from there until I was in my 40s. I'm 55 now. And it wasn't until my 40s that I finally got so down and so desperate that I knew I needed to do something, and finally reached out for help. So I don't remember exactly when it was in my 40s, but it was somewhere around my earlier mid 40s.
Right. And but basically, what led you to not be happy? Like, I mean, first of all, I'm actually genuinely sorry for your death.
Thank you.
Truly sorry. But I mean, also, what led you to not be happy? I mean, why you didn't overcome this lose, basically? Why you achieved the happiness later your age?
Yeah, Fabio, that's a great question. And I don't know that I've ever really thought about it before. And I don't know that I have a good answer for it. Some people suffer the loss of a parent or some other trauma, and right away they're resilient and they're strong, and they just, overcome it and go on. And I didn't, and I don't know why, to be honest with you, Fabio.
Right.
I don't know the answer to that question. I, for some reason, just did not have the knowledge or the tools or something. It certainly was not the fault of my mother. She did a fantastic job providing and being both parents and doing everything that she could to give me all that I needed. Certainly was not her fault. But I don't know, Fabio, there was just some reason that I just felt like that once I lost my dad, that I just didn't have any hope of ever making anything of my life.
I understand. Honestly, I truly cannot imagine this kind of lose. It's very weird in my case. I mean, I have this afraid to die, and sometimes I talk with my partner. And she say, but what is the reason? It's not that you lose many people around you. And I actually don't know. So in your case, I can see that you overcome the happiness. So you achieve the happiness maybe a little bit later. But at the same time, you had actually a kind of a purpose, right, to be sad for a while. So the world works in a very mysterious way. The life works in a very mysterious way. So yeah, that's my point, basically. And what else? You mentioned this friend. So could you tell me more about your friend's story? So how did he help you? So did just help you, give you the book, or was actually close to you and helped you in this process?
That's a great question, Fabio. I'm so glad that you asked that, because I'm so happy to be able to talk about him and share his story and give him the credit that he deserves. He has been a dear friend for a very long time. And now outside of my family, my closest friend. And it's funny, Fabio, for many years, he tried to help me. He tried to talk to me and offer me tools and give me knowledge and help me know that I did not have to be miserable. He tried, but as you know, Fabio, until someone is ready to get help, they're not going to take help. And so all of the times that he tried, I turned him down. I just told him, I don't want help. I don't want to change. I don't want to do anything about this. And so he would stop, and then he would try again, and I would turn him down again. And so I don't really know exactly why he was in the position he was. He also had undergone a lot of trauma within his family in his earlier life, particularly as a young adult. He also had some difficulties in his life. But he found the answer to that much earlier than I did, probably in his early 20s. And so by the time that I was ready to reach out and ask for help, he had been involved in personal growth for 30 years, I guess. And he had, been exposed to Zig Ziglar and Jack Canfield and Jim Rohn and some of the greats of personal growth. And he had really reached a very high level of personal growth. And so when I finally did reach out to him and say, I'm ready to take help, he knew immediately the book to suggest to me. And it had also impacted his life. But not only that, as I was reading the book, he and I were reading it together. So we would read it and then we would get together the next day. We were working out together at the gym and we would discuss the book. And so he was able to give me some insights by talking to me about the book. And then later, he was able to recommend other things, other coaches and books and seminars and courses. And so it was far more than just giving me a book. He was able to give me all the help that I needed. And then when I finally decided to go into coaching, he was also a tremendous influence and support with that as well. So he has been a rock of support and help all throughout this journey.
Before we go through, if you're enjoying this podcast, please consider taking just 3 seconds to share it with someone else. It is a small gesture that could make a big difference in someone's day. Now, sit back and enjoy the rest of the episode. It's interesting how with failure, we achieve success, right? So we had to fail a lot before to achieve an important state of mind. For example, in my own experience, one of the times I used to feel failure was when I was bullied for years. So I wasn't very good in school or in achieving success, and I consumed my frustration in front of my computer, isolating myself in my comfort zone. But after a while, I learned to accept failure and understand that it's an important part of the journey. So I think that's for sure it's one of the keys, right, to overcome. So my question is also, how do you react to failure now?
Well, it's entirely different than I used to. I mean, I used to feel like my life was a failure and that everything I did was failure. Even though I received a lot of external affirmation for good things that I would do, Fabio, I'm sure that you know that if internally you feel like a failure, no matter what anybody tells you, you're still going to feel like a failure. Yeah. Now I don't even use the word failure now, really. I don't believe in failure. I believe the only failure is when we quit trying. And I know that sounds like a cliche, but I really believe that that's true, that the only failure is giving up. And so whenever I do something, first of all, I redefine success. So, for instance, let's say that I've started a new coaching program for husbands and fathers. I'll just use that for an example. And so, let's say that I start this coaching program, and let's say that it fails, that it doesn't continue, and that I have to shut it down. I don't consider that to be a failure. First of all, I believe I succeeded just by trying to do it. For me now, success is trying to do it. Success is taking action. Success is no longer, did I achieve the outcome I desired? Because I can't control that. And one thing I teach people in my programs is to not set a goal that requires the cooperation of other people. And do not judge your success based on what other people do. So, for instance, I had a client who wanted to make one of her goals to have a great relationship with her daughter. And I said, that's a terrible goal. I said, first of all, it's too vague. And secondly, it requires her cooperation. Don't make a goal that requires other people's cooperation because you can't control them. And so for me, success is, did I try it and did I give it everything I had, no matter how it ends up? No longer for me is success, did I achieve the desired end? So if I have this coaching program and let's say that I have to end it, that it doesn't continue, that to me is not a failure. That to me is a success because I tried it. And it's a learning opportunity because I can learn some things from it.
Gotcha. For me, it's more like, let's say there is a big difference, right, between feel a failure and fail. So, I mean, the terms failing is truly a part of the process, right? To achieve something. I mean, we fail in everything, even if when I don't know, when we cook and then there is some oil that goes that goes on your I don't know, your arm, and then the next time you are careful, right? So
exactly.
Also, also that it's kind of you are kind of failing. And you are trying to be careful, and next time you are going to be better to cook a better meal, etc., etc. So basically, it's just a process. That's what I think. The problem is when people feel they are not good on something when they feel when they feel they are failing, because let's be honest, they don't even try, right? I mean, we live in a world right now where everything people truly want that everything is easy for them.
Right.
So there is not hard work anymore, and people give up too much easy, in my opinion. So it's a bit sad, if I have to say honestly.
Fabio, one thing that I love that you said, and what you said is so powerful, that there's failing, if we want to use the term, there's failing, and then there's feeling like a failure. And those two things do not have to go together. And the first thing that in our programs, the first thing that we teach is taking 100% responsibility for your life and everything in it. And that includes your feelings, your emotions, and your moods.
Yeah.
And so when I try something and it doesn't go the way I want it to, I can choose to feel like a failure, or I can choose to learn from the experience and be proud of myself for trying. And so my feelings and my view of myself are always within my control. And if I'm feeling like a failure, it's because I'm allowing myself to, not because that's necessarily the way it has to go. I love what you said there.
Yeah, but it's true. It's about choice, right? So do you choose to be a victim of the situation, or do you choose to be the hero? It's always like that. But yeah, people don't right now. As I say, we live in an age right now that people don't work so much hard, and the people need to know that it wasn't easy, even for you, to reach this success. And actually, I have a question for you. So, what mistakes have you made, and how did they help you become an expert?
I've made all of them, Fabio.
All of them, yeah.
If there's a mistake a person can make, I've made it.
You're right. Yeah. No, totally right. Totally right. Yeah.
So that's a good
Totally.
question. But in all honesty, Fabio, I mean, really, I have if a person can do it wrong, I've
Yeah.
done it. If a person can, go the wrong direction or hurt other people or let other people down or whatever. I've done it. I've done all of it and more. But I mean, I made a ton of mistakes. I think the biggest mistake, Fabio, that I made in my life that I'm working overtime to correct now was not continuing to work on myself and my skills. So I am a Christian minister as well as a life coach. I've been a Christian minister, a preacher for over 30 years. And one thing that I did not do for a very long time was continue to work on my skill as a public speaker. And that was a big mistake. I felt like I was good at it. I felt like I was naturally good at it and that I didn't have to work at it. And that was a huge mistake. And what that led to was a degeneration of my ability. I got worse at it because I wasn't working on it. And that goes for my personal growth too. For all of that time that I was talking about, that I was frustrated, I wasn't working on myself. I wasn't, working on my mindset, my skills, and my competencies. And because of that, I was never getting any better. I was getting worse. So that's the biggest mistake I ever made.
Yeah, catch it. And actually, it's I think it's interesting because at the start of any journey, we only think about ourselves, right? Me. But the truth is that to achieve great things, you have to understand how to serve your people, right? To serve the people around you. And this is something that you understand later. But then once you get it, then you actually feel also more good, to serve more people and to teach to them what actually life is, basically, from your point of view, from your side. So
yeah, absolutely. And now that I've spent this time really, really diligently working on myself, first of all, now I have the energy to truly help other people. I've got more to do now than I've ever had in my life. My days are packed, but I've got all kinds of energy. I get up at 4:00 in the morning, and I work hard, but I've got more energy because mentally I'm in a much better place. I feel much better about myself and I feel that I've got more to offer. And so it really does begin with your personal growth and personal improvement. And that allows you to be a light in the world to the people who really, really need it.
Yeah, super. And also from my side, I used to wake up at 5:00 actually, but there are times where I wake up later, and then I understand that it depends of which kind of purpose I have in my mind, right? So if that kind of purpose give me a kind of energy, positive energy, then looks like I can wake up also at 4:00. But I remember one year ago, I was actually also working on my social medias, but didn't give me so much energy, and I didn't used to wake up so much early. So also the energy factor is also very important to achieve success, So yeah, definitely. And I have another question for you, actually, because you mentioned before, you mentioned that you were angry. And when you meant angry, I guess, with yourself and the people around you, right? So how did this affect basically to the people close to you, especially your family, your you are a father, as I understood. So how did it affect, basically?
Well, it was terrible. So it's kind of weird. I was kind of I guess like all of us, I mean, I guess I had both good and bad as far as a parent. A lot of things I did well.
No one is
Um,
totally good or totally
exactly,
bad. I
exactly.
mean,
And yeah, that's right. And I mean, there are a lot of
yeah.
things I did well, but there are a lot of things that I did horribly. So, with my wife, I treated my wife, badly when we would disagree. I would raise my voice or I would shut down entirely and not speak to her for hours or a day at a time. And that was very hurtful to her. I would always try to win an argument rather than solve a problem. I was very angry with my kids, and I would yell at my kids. I would insult my kids, call them names, blow up on them. And just, I was never physically abusive, thank God, but the things that I said and my tone and volume were very, very hurtful to my children. So it did very much affected my family, and I did take it out on those who were around me. Ironically, only my family. When I was out in the community or at church, I treated everybody really well. I didn't want to be seen as a jerk, but then when I got home, if something set me off, I would react explosively or toxically. And so my wife would sometimes say to me, "Did you use up all your niceness on everybody else and you have none left for us?" And that was pretty much the case. And so, yeah, it did definitely very, very adversely affect my family, which is something that I try not to live in regret, but that's a hard one.
Well, I look at your Facebook profile, and you write very beautiful things, and I'm sure your family is proud about it. So,
Fabio,
definitely,
it's interesting if I may. A story I tell a lot. My daughter,
yeah.
um, I have three. My three children are grown now. They're in their 20s, and I have a grandson as well. But my daughter said that one day, we were in the dining room and she knocked over a plant and dirt went all over the floor. And she said, I froze and I waited for Dad to blow up about me knocking over this plant. And she said, but Dad just said, well, that's okay. It happens. Let's just get it cleaned up. No big deal. And she said, when that happened, she said, I realized that all this personal growth stuff that Dad was doing was actually working. So it really makes me happy to hear my wife and my children mention that they can see the change that I've been able to accomplish. That really, really makes me happy.
Yeah, of course, and especially when the people around you notice, especially a little child. I mean, I think it's very powerful, truly.
Yeah.
No, definitely. And well, about failure, actually, we mentioned this word. I like this word because I don't think is a negative word, as we said before. It depends which side, which part of the story. It depends which kind of person you want to be, as we said, or the victim or the hero, right?
Yes.
So in my opinion, failure is good for success, because only through failure someone can learn, improve, and go forward. Okay. So in your opinion, why failure is good or not for success? Open question.
Oh, it's absolutely essential. It's absolutely essential, because the fact is, Fabio, it would be great if we set out on a path to do whatever it is we're going to do, whatever a person wants to do. And so it would be awesome if we set out on the path and everything went perfectly. That would be terrific. And there was no failure, no mistake, no setback. And we just went in a straight line directly to what we want to achieve. The fact is that never happens. It's absolutely impossible for that to happen. So then in the real world, our alternatives are two. We can either set out to do what we want to do and experience failures and mistakes, or we can stay where we are and not try to do anything. those are really our only two options. And so a person either has to get, one of my favorite quotes is that successful people get comfortable being uncomfortable. And I've certainly had to learn that in my own life. But the fact is, Fabio, that in the real world, and I think that the problem with a lot of people is that they just don't want to live in the real world. They have this idea about what they want the world to be like, and they insist that it be that way, but it isn't that way. And so in the real world, we have two options. You can stay where you are and not do anything, which is a horrible way to live, or you can set out toward the things that you want to accomplish and expect to fail and make mistakes along the way. Then you have two options with that. You can look at them as blessings in disguise and learning opportunities, or you can look at them as defeat. I'll give you one example, Fabio, if I might.
Yeah,
several years ago, I entered a coaching program for myself to get coaching for me and my business. And it cost me $12,000. And I don't know your audience, where they are in the world and how that, would relate, but $12,000 is a lot of money. So I spent $12,000 on this coaching program that promised to get me more clients for my business. They did not. I did not get one single client for that $12,000 expense, but I got something much more valuable. As I was in the coaching program, I was watching how they did their program. And I realized that what they were doing was much better than what I was doing, that what they were doing allowed them to reach many more people than what I was doing. And so while they did not give me what they said, they gave me something much more valuable that I still use to this day and will use from now on. So I could have looked at that experience as a mistake. I shouldn't have spent the money. I could have looked at it as a failure. I failed to get clients. What I chose to do was to learn something from it that has been extremely valuable to me. And that's the way we need to choose to look at the mistakes and failures that we have.
Yeah. And I totally relate, actually. Also myself, let's say I bought different courses and very expensive ones sometimes. And so sometimes these courses teach me to understand something that I'm using right now. Most of the times they didn't teach me anything. But the point is that if you don't go through this process, you don't know the correct way. You know what I mean? So you don't know the correct street to choose. So at the end, I think every money you spent in the past and in courses and everything is helpful, regardless if you are using or not. Sometimes actually I used to buy something that I didn't think was helpful, and then after 2-3 years you say, hey, just a moment, but actually the thing I can use it now. So yeah, it's interesting how works this kind of journey to success, basically. Okay, so last question, David. Who is David Price right now? So who are you?
What a fantastic question, Fabio. This is such an amazing interview. You're really good at this, Fabio. You should think about
so much.
You should think about having a podcast. Have you ever thought about that?
Oh, really? Time ago.
Right, yeah. You need to look into this, Fabio. No, really fantastic. You're such a fantastic interviewer, and I appreciate your heart and your knowledge and perspective.
You're a great guest.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Fabio.
And time flies, yeah? So it's already 30 minutes. I don't know how. So
I know. No kidding. What a great question. So who is David Price? Well, I mean, in a sense, Fabio, I'm who I always was. I mean, I've always been a human, a valuable, priceless human being made in the image of God. And, and just that makes me such a powerful, valuable, human being, but I didn't know that for a long time. And so I guess David Price now is a person who knows that. I'm a person who knows my value. I'm a person who knows my capability, and I'm a person who knows my mission. So I've always had those things. I just didn't know those things. And you've spoken so beautifully as we've gone throughout the podcast about the idea of journey. You've mentioned that several times. Yeah. And that's kind of what I've done. I've been on this journey to discover that who I am is who I always was, a powerful, valuable person who's worthy of my own love and worthy of the love of other people, who has a very big mission in the world. And so David Price is the person now who gets that and is doing something about it. So thank you for that beautiful question, Fabio.
Beautiful. Thank you for the great answer. And David, I'm actually really, I don't know, I enjoyed a lot. I don't know about you.
Thank you, Fabio.
I truly enjoyed a lot. And it was fantastic having you here. And I hope you enjoyed it as well. You say yes. And and thanks again for being a part of the show.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Fabio. Such a wonderful experience. I'm so happy for us to know each other.
Yeah, definitely. Also for myself. Take care, David.
Thank you.
Bye. Here we are. Congratulations. You just finished my entire episode. So, the only thing I ask is to take a moment to give Journey to Success a rating. By the way, thank you so much for being here on Journey to Success. I'm very grateful. Thank you, and see you next time.